She convinced New York's rich and famous she was a German heiress.
She seemed good-willed.
She knows exactly how to present herself so that she is right away going to be welcomed into New York society.
And claimed to have a $67 million trust fund from her billionaire father and seemed to live a life of luxury. But that all came crashing.
Anna Delvey was actually Anna Sorokin.
Also known as the fake heiress.
I believe she's a sociopath.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and I do hope you enjoy the video. Just before I start, I just like to apologize. It's raining outside right now, so if you can hear anything like that, really sorry. Anyway, I will try to make the sound as clear as possible, but can't help the weather. Today's video is going to be about Anna Delvey, the woman who managed to scam her way to popularity, fame, riches, everything. I think that every single thing that she told anyone, her friends, anyone she met, was a full-on lie, and people just believed every word she said. But without further ado, let's start the video. In 2013, at the age of 23, Anna Delvey moved to New York City. Every single new friend she made and anyone she'd met would tell you that all she spoke about was her trust fund of 60 million euros. She said that this massive amount of money was actually held in overseas accounts, which is why she didn't exactly have access to it. Despite that fact though, 60 million euros is a huge amount of money. It's about $80 million, or what it equated to at the time. So according to people that knew her, this large amount of money would cover the expenses of this German heiress's lavish lifestyle. She was known to stay in boutique hotels, wear the most expensive fashion, and party with extremely wealthy people in Manhattan, New York. She also often visited spas to relax and just be pampered, and she would eat at the most high-class restaurants in the city. Overall, in conversation about her, she was just considered a very passionate and wealthy entrepreneur. Some of her interests included art and fashion especially, and she had some elite connections with people that were very high up and well-known and wealthy. All of this that I've just mentioned about her, as you have expected, was all a lie. This false German heiress was actually born into a middle-class family in Russia. She was born as Anna Sorokin on the 23rd of January in 1991. Her birthplace was in Domodedovo, Russia. Her father was a truck driver, and her mother owned a very small convenience store before becoming a housewife. When Anna turned 16, her family would move to Germany, and in conversation with her previous classmates, they would describe Anna as very quiet, very shy, and very introverted. This description of Anna may be understandable, as she didn't actually quite grasp the German language very well, and obviously it could have made it difficult for her to communicate with her peers or make any friends. When she graduated high school, she was meant to attend an art school in London. She did travel to London, however, she never actually ended up attending the school and would just move back to Germany after a few years. Anna would then move to Paris in the beginning of 2013, which is when she would start calling herself Anna Delvey. At this point of her life, she was working as an intern at Purple magazine, which is a French fashion magazine. Anna would soon become acquainted with the founder of this magazine, which is personally what I believe triggered this entire scandal. After becoming acquainted with such a high-up person, she would start attending lavish parties and events, and she would make rich friends, especially when she attended Paris Fashion Week in 2013. She was in fact only earning 400 euros a month in Paris. I'm not entirely sure if this is a lot by European standards, but considering the conversion rates and stuff, comparing it to here, I don't think it's quite enough to be living that sort of lifestyle. She was still being supported by her parents, in fact, and this only drove her further into the whole lie. In the same year of 2013, she would move to New York City Not permanently though, but to just kind of start immersing herself into her new fake life. While there, to maintain this facade of being very wealthy and having a lot of money, Anna would do very generous things such as pay for others when they were at restaurants, and obviously after a while this would draw quite a bit of attention.
People talked about you tipping wildly.
Well, people are
tipping
Uber
drivers,
ridiculous, yeah.
tipping concierges $100 at a time. I mean, was that part of the allure that people saw a little bit of money and they thought you had a lot more?
Well, if someone is impressed by a $100 bill, I don't know what to tell them.
Every time she would lie to a new friend that she would make about how she actually got to have that large sum of money, the story would change every now and again. She would tell stories about her father along the lines of him being a diplomat, a successful businessman in the oil business. She would even talk about how he was an entrepreneur in solar panels. Strangely enough, despite telling everyone how much money she had, she would always somehow convince her friends or the people she was with to pay for her at places, to pay for her food, to pay for her at parties, anything. They would somehow be convinced by Anna. She would make up an excuse, of course, but they would somehow every time fall for it and just pay for her. Even after promises of paying her friends back, she wouldn't ever do that. She would make excuses as to why she couldn't do that. Then after making excuses as to why she couldn't pay, it was very much a lie all throughout. Her excuses would range from things such as saying that she accidentally left her card in her luggage that she would check into on the airplane, so they would pay for her like that and then she would pay them back, or she would have them pay for her at shops or anything when her card would very strangely decline. These tricks, however, fooled so many people, and not once did anyone suspect a single thing. When someone did, however, ask out of curiosity, what was going on and why she couldn't pay, she would just brush it off and say things such as her not really being able to move her money around quite easily due to the fact that her money is stuck in overseas accounts. Or if she would be reminded by her friends to pay them back, she would just brush it off as being aloof and that she had forgotten about it and she promised to do it, but she never did. All her travels would also be staged as extremely important business trips. She would visit prime holiday spots all over Europe. She would visit Ibiza. She would often tell people that she was meeting important business people that would be discussing investing opportunities with her or helping her out with her entrepreneurial projects or things that she was taking on at the moment. These investors even ranged from Bill Gates to Warren Buffett. Obviously, Anna would only fly first class, or she would go as far as to hire a private jet, simply to keep up the story about her fake rich lifestyle. Soon, Anna became vocal about wanting to start an art foundation, known as the Anna Dalvi Foundation. She specifically wanted this foundation to be in the Church Missions House on the corner of East 22nd Street. This historic building would host her club, which members of the club would be able to visit. Included in this Anna Dalvi Foundation in this specific location was a whole nightclub, a bar, a restaurant, an art gallery, everything that you can think of in terms of this rich entertainment was at the Anna Dalvi Foundation. The following events that would unravel are actually such a strange coincidence. Anna would become a part of the Magnuss Club, which is extremely elite and is a members-only club. Becoming a member of this club included access to a townhouse. Anna obviously took advantage of this and would stay in the Magnuss townhouse for over 4 months. While staying here around this time, she would officially decide to become a permanent New York resident. And now for the strange coincidence. Magnuss Club was owned and founded by Billy McFarland. If you don't recall or recognize this name, I will give a brief explainer. Billy McFarland actually instigated the entire Fyre Festival scandal. It was a music festival that promised extremely high quality food, accommodation, and entertainment. It was said this festival was designed for only the most elite. Of course, it turned out absolutely nothing like that. People were extremely unhappy with the outcome of Fire Festival. It was a complete disaster and considered one of the biggest scams in history. By 2016, Anna Delvey had been working tirelessly at trying to start her own elite club. Anna had actually already managed to collect around half the cost to launch this club, which is $25 million about that she did have, when she decided to reach out to Andy Lance, a lawyer. Anna had Lance, her lawyer, contact banks such as Fortress Bank so he could try to convince them to give Anna a loan for her project. Lance would reason with these banks by telling them about Anna's overseas accounts and promising that the money would more than likely be returned through the use of these accounts. But obviously there's a problem because these accounts don't exist. Still, surprisingly, Anna managed to secure a loan for $100,000. She would just use this loan to pay her due diligence fees at another bank that she took out a loan with. She would then subsequently cancel her request for a loan at this bank. Then she somehow managed to transfer $55,000 from this account to the original bank where she took a loan from. This was just one of the many ways she used that would ensure that she always somehow had some money, despite obviously falsifying every single detail about herself. Anna would also often eat at restaurants or stay at hotels where afterwards she would just skip out on the bill, or she would promise to return and pay the bill, but she would never do that. Anna would also falsify checks to herself and then withdraw the money and disappear before anyone suspected anything. Another technique of hers would involve Anna only using cash and no cards to ensure that there was absolutely no kind of trail or evidence of what she was possibly doing. One incident was recorded where Anna hosted herself an extremely wild and expensive party for her birthday and just completely skipped out on the cost. There was another incident where Anna stayed at the 11 on Howard and made promises of a wire transfer to pay for it. But I think the reason she did get away with that hotel stay was because Anna was actually friends with the owner. Otherwise, I believe that would have been the end of her lies. During her stay, she would manipulate herself into ridiculous privileges and requests, such as personalized meals, constant crediting to a room despite not a single cent being paid yet, and flattering the staff to get her way. Eventually, during Anna's stay at this hotel, she realized that her money was slowly starting to dwindle, and the hotel staff also realized something. There was no card listed to Anna's name in the hotel registry, and she had a very large unpaid bill. Anna was confronted about this, and of course just made more excuses and scammed them a little bit more. She would apologize for this inconvenience by sending money to the hotel that actually didn't really exist. So she sent a false notification, I'm guessing, of a payment, but it wouldn't go through, or it seemingly did go through, but that wasn't the case. And she also sent a large crate of bottles of champagne to the hotel and its staff. However, this time, the hotel didn't fall for her trick, and when Anna was out partying and socializing with others, the staff simply packed up all her belongings and put them outside. One incident that in hindsight seemed very much unlike Anna happened while she was traveling to Morocco for a holiday in 2017. She offered to pay for herself and for two of her friends for the entire holiday. This is when things officially started spiraling for Anna Delvey. The hotel where Anna and her friends were staying obviously realized that Anna's account was very low on funds. The hotel would detain Anna and her friends until one of them put down their card to cover the costs of the stay. Typically, Anna pulled a Karen. She got frustrated and angry, she blamed the hotel for this incident, and in the end, Anna manipulated her friend who did put down their card, who was not initially as well off as Anna seemed to be, and they paid for the entire stay at this hotel. Later that year in 2017, Anna would continue just scamming people and hotels, making promises of wire transfers, and just creating a larger and larger and more unpaid bills for herself. She would even be evicted from quite a few of these hotels, but never learned her lesson. By now, Anna had lost all her friends due to her antics and had so many complaints and stories circulating about her due to her skipping out on bills and not paying people back. The building where her Anna Dalvi Foundation was soon sold to another buyer, because by this point Anna had still not managed to actually buy the building and become an owner of it. Her reign was ultimately leading to an end when she was faced by police at a restaurant just as she was about to leave without paying for the bill. She was charged with the crime and was arrested, but only for a very short time. As soon as Anna was released from her arrest, she began panicking and only started to dig a deeper hole for herself. She would draw a bunch more fraudulent checks and cash them, and then she would flee to California. This obviously didn't work out for her though, and in October of 2017, Anna Dalvi was arrested for the final time. Anna's trial would start in December of 2018. Anna was facing 6 charges of grand larceny, also known as grand theft, due to her scamming her friends, hotels, and investors. Initially, and very surprisingly, Anna rejected a plea deal which would see her facing a much shorter sentence. If she did go along with the plea deal, she would have only faced about 3 to 9 years of jail time and would be deported to Germany afterwards. She did, however, decide to continue with the trial. This is because she possibly believed that she could reduce her sentence with a trial. She was unfortunately wrong though. This whole time during her trial, she was held at Rikers Island prison in New York. She reported that she had been disciplined around 30 times for her behavior. She said that she was even held in solitary confinement for a week over Christmas. She was finally found guilty for second-degree larceny, theft of services, and attempted grand larceny. Surprisingly though, she was not found guilty for that attempted $22 million loan that she tried to take out. She was also found not guilty for that incident in Morocco in the hotel, which ended up racking up about $60,000 in unpaid bills. It is said that during Anna's trial, she seemed to have absolutely no remorse for those she scammed or those she had stolen from, and instead seemed much more concerned over her looks. She paid special attention in court appearances to her makeup and her clothing. This is a direct quote from Anna Dalvi during a court appearance. "The thing is, I'm not sorry. I'd be lying to you and everyone else and to myself if I said I was sorry for anything. I regret the way I went about certain things." These were her final words just before she was sentenced to 4 to 12 years in prison on the 9th of May in 2019. She was also ordered to pay a $24,000 fine and $199,000 in restitution. She also faces deportation after serving time. Since then, she has said that she always intended to pay back all the friends she scammed, to pay back all the credit accounts she had at hotels, restaurants, and spas. She intended to pay back all the money she had stolen, though I'm not entirely sure how likely this was to have ever happened. She would later excuse her actions as being driven by her big dream of owning a private club and also her intense need to have power. One of Anna's friends that joined her on that holiday to Morocco, named Rachel Williams, actually spoke about the incident in 2017 and how she had to end up paying for the bill. She was crying as she described this incident as one of the worst moments of her entire life. Though even after this entire interview, Anna was still, as I mentioned earlier, not found guilty of this incident. More info about this is also available in Rachel Williams' book that she wrote about times that she spent with Anna. Like Rachel, Anna would go on to write a book about her life in prison, her time spent there, and her experiences during her jail time, and she also planned to write another book about her experience at Rikers Island. But when asked, Anna was of no plan to write any book about her scamming days or when she was a fraud or anything like that. On the 21st of February this year, after only serving about 2 years, almost 2 years actually, Anna was released from prison. She served 1 year and 9 months to be exact of her 4 to 12-year sentence. At the time of writing the script, there is not yet any information available on her being deported or anything about her life updated up until this point. But if any more information does come out, I will include it in the comments down below if anyone is interested. So that's all I have for this video. I do hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed hearing about this massive scandal. Quite frankly, this isn't the only time that something like this has happened where someone scammed their way to millions and even billions. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below, and leave any suggestions of any topics that you would like to see me make a video about next. Until the next video, goodbye.